The EC has dismissed reports of low turnout at the pilot biometric registration. Now, the Commission's Director of Elections, Samuel Tete, explained the Commission was expecting 50 applicants at each polling station, but according to them, it recorded more than 50 persons.
The Commission described last Saturday's pilot registration of voters as a success, although some political parties said the exercise recorded low turnout. The Commission's Director of Elections, Samuel Tete, explains the pilot recorded beyond the figures the Commission was expecting. The pilot exercise was to test the upgraded biometric registration kits for the impending limited voter registration exercise. The Commission selected 2 polling stations per each region across the country for the exercise. This, according to Samuel Tete, was to ensure the upgraded biometric registration kits will function under different conditions.
Related to this is the fact that the pressure group Let My Vote Count Alliance says that it will intensify pressure on the EC to clean up the voters register ahead of the 2016 polls. Now, the statement which they released demanded the EC comes out with a clear timetable for validation to clean up the register. Let me quickly come back to the studio and speak to a member of the NPP's communication team, Ibrahim Majay. We'll talk about the EC's pilot biometric and then matters falling out of it. Welcome to News at 10.
Brian, thank you.
And I hope you're doing good.
Alhamdulillah. We are well.
The campaign mode is getting hotter and hotter, I guess.
I believe so. What we have in front of us is Ghana's destiny.
Great.
And we need that we have a fair and credible playing ground for every political interest. So it's important.
The pilot registration, for you, how did you take it?
I took it as a group. It was very shambolic, and I'll explain why very briefly, Bright. We have 14 million registered voters on this bloated register, of which coming on November 7th, Charlotte Essay says that we will have 29,000 polling stations. On average, 14 million divided by 29,000 is 482 persons per polling station.
Per polling station.
Now, out of 275 constituencies, you choose 20. Out of the 20, just 2 polling stations. Sorry, so we have 20 polling stations out of 29,000, right? How can that exercise really allow you to interrogate the efficiency of the BVR, the biometric verification readers? How does it allow you? Just 20 polling stations out of 29,000.
These are equipment being tested.
And to what extent? I mean, you need a wider pool, a larger pool, to understand whether or not the conditions, the various conditions that they talk about, are being tested. And the language is ambiguous. One, we need to understand what is the software, what is the upgrading, and this is where I'm hoping that the media would actually interrogate the EC. When they say that we've upgraded it, ask them, what does the upgrading entail? I did further research and it found it's to do with making sure that it can reject multiple registrations. But of course, are you telling me that in 2012 we didn't have that facility? Because we saw on TV3, in fact, when you had 2 persons being arrested on this station, or your media showed it in 2012, who had double registered. So what software? And I think all political parties need to interrogate the software, and the EC has to open it up. When you go online, you see how the machines can be rigged to declare for one candidate or another, and it can also delete names. This is something that every political party, and I'm speaking to all political parties, go and interrogate at IPAC, ask or rather demand that the EC brings you the machines so that they can have an independent person to interrogate the software, so that we can challenge the software and see whether or not that software is designed to, in our local parlance, do kolulu.
But your party members were at the polling stations?
Yes.
What is the report they brought to the office?
You find that some in the eastern region, I think it was in Efiduase, said that they were happy with the exercises. Others said that they were not in terms of the exercises. But you need to understand what What was the exercise meant to achieve?
To test the machines and see if they can work.
In what capacity? You know, we say the word bright, but do we talk about the longevity of the machines? Do we talk about whether or not under extreme heat or rain or inclement weather they would work properly? Are we going to have 2, 3 machines as backup? What is it? Is it to check whether or not it could capture fingerprints properly? Is that where the software is? If you remember, some time ago in 2012, fishermen, and my grandfather was a fisherman, because of the nature of your work, the fingerprints had become eroded.
Right.
Is it an enhanced AFIS machinery? This is something that we have to ask rather than consuming the information lock, stock, and barrel. We need to ask exactly what are you testing? Because they don't say what they are testing. They do not say it anywhere in the literature. But if you do further research, as I did, one of them was to make sure that it eliminates multiple registrants, which is something it was already doing in 2012. And I'm saying to every single political party, if you are interested in winning this election in 2016, at IPAC, demand from the EC the software. And we have experts who can check the algorithm, which is the coding that goes into that software. And I think the EC has to open it up, because machines can be rigged.
I see.
Yes, it's happening in India,
I come back
in the US.
Ibrahim, I come back to you. But let me speak to the national coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODIO, Mr. Albert Kofi. He's just joined this conversation. Mr. I'm grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you, and good evening to your listeners.
And the last time you spoke, you're questioning the readiness of the Electoral Commission as far as the November polls is concerned. Now, we saw the pilot biometric voter registration exercise. That is to test the kits for November 7. Does it give you any impression that perhaps the Commission is now indeed showing signs of its readiness for November 7?
Well, that is, of course, it's a part of the preparation. And I believe they must have done that against the backdrop of the fact that they wanted to find out whether the machines will be able to work and work well at the various stations. My worry is that maybe the sample size, taking the whole country and taking only 20 polling stations might not be the answer, the question. These machines sometimes will have to be put under stress, especially when you are doing the testing. When there are many people at the polling station, all clamoring, coming and there you see the robustness of the machine. And then you'll be able to, at the end of the day, be able to say that, oh, these machines can withstand the test of time. You see, but once these were just subjected to only about 40 voters or 40 registrants at the time, it might not actually reflect on the actual performance. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I believe maybe they are saying that it's been upgraded. So it could be that it's going to work. We pray it does.
Are you suggesting, for instance, that the sample size is simply too small, 29,000 polling stations? Perhaps, if you want to make a suggestion, how many polling stations would have done the trick for you?
It could have been, for example, if you take Accra, where you have about 1,500 polling stations. If you really want to test it and test it well, then probably you may take about 500 polling stations. But I'm sure it's a question of money. If they had the resources, they would have, widened the scope. But honestly, if you have about 500 polling stations, for example, in Accra, and you don't even do the others, you'll be able to know whether the machine is actually working well or not. Not necessarily having 500 throughout the country. But if at the end of the day, and in an area, you had about 500 voters all coming to test it, then definitely you will really be putting the machine to test, and then you find out how robust that machine is. But if you have only one polling station, two polling stations, where you have only 40 people coming, it doesn't actually give us the actual picture.
Let's wrap up our conversation on this. Now, some have suggested that the EC should include in its program of activity or program lineup a way to clean up the register. Now, let me pick your brains on this.
Yes, the other day I was talking about it. You see, when some of the opposition parties presented their petition to the Electoral Commission about the fact that the register is bloated, you know, there was the commission found the need to set up a committee, and the committee came up with their report. And in the report, they said that the register needed something, fine-tuning. And by sort of remedying it, it said, for example, they should do some validation, they do some cleaning, you know, auditing, so that the data will be right. And I'm expecting that whatever program the commission has in mind, by now, should have been rolled out. The timetable has come out fine. But what is the cleaning? Who is doing the cleaning? Who is doing the auditing? When is it going to take place? That is a worry. And, you know, people are beginning to ask that if the auditing is going to be done, when is it going to be done? If the cleaning is going to be done, when is it going to be done? Of course, when you exhibit the register, at the end of the day, when you finish with the limited registration, it was certainly going to be exhibited. Does it mean we're going to combine the exhibition with all these things, all these recommendations? So these are questions that need to be answered. And I believe the commission, maybe from this time up to the point where we are going to do the limited registration, will have to come out and tell the whole nation, we haven't accepted the VCRA CRAB report, or we have accepted it, and this is how we are going to deal with it. Then definitely this will set the minds of people at ease. That is the way I see it.
I'm grateful. He is the National Coordinator, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, Mr. Albert Kofi Ahin, talking to me there. Let me come back to Ibrahim Ejay, a member of the NPP communications team. So he suggested, for instance, that the EC could have just picked Greater Accra region and just decided to do this exercise in 500 out of the 1,500 polling stations, and he said he would have been satisfied. You think so?
I agree with him. That would have been much better. Let me give you a quick analogy, Brian.
Go ahead.
Last year we had 282,000 students sitting the BEC exams. Can you imagine if you wanted to test how proficient our students were in maths, and out of the 282,000 you just chose around 100? Would that tell you how well prepared our students were in maths?
It's as simple as comparing them to the machines, equipment being tested.
Absolutely. I'm giving you an analogy of how you test a pool. 29,000 polling stations, and you do 20. It beggars belief. And what Albert Hahin spoke about, the gentleman from CODEO, that maybe it's about to do with money. That's why they use such a small pool. I beg to differ with him. In 2012, Dr. Farijan requested and received 243 million Ghana cedis to do the elections in 2012. I'll repeat, 243 million. Charlotte Essay in January asked for 1.1 billion, and she was approved 800 million, nearly triple the amount. And she's not buying new machines.
Things have changed. The cost of running operations have gone up.
How has it changed? Our salaries are the same.
Fuel have gone up. You know that?
What fuel has gone up? Are you telling me because of fuel, we're spending 600 million? What are they driving V8s? Are all the electoral agents, polling station agents driving V8s?
The cost of printing ballot and all that.
And let me give you the figures again. 243 million Ghana cedis
in 2012.
2012. 4 years on. Remember, that was procuring new BVR machines. You're not procuring new machines, just software. And as I say, parties need to interrogate that software. Now it's 800 million. Bear in mind, she asked for 1.1 billion. And the polling stations have increased just by some 3,000 minimally, from 26,002 to 29,000. So MPs, our members of parliament, should be asking these questions. Why are they silent?
They have approved it.
The MPs watching
they have already.
All the reasons.
They have approved. So it means that they have done due diligence and realized that they need. That's how much we need to.
Our MPs are doing a disservice to Ghana. The MPs watching this show right now, ask the right questions. How come you've approved 800 million? Give us the audit of that cost. But coming back on message now, on the registration, why didn't on the piloting, why did not the EC present the voters register at each polling station? Because then in 2012 we can compare. Why do I say this?
You mean the pilot?
The pilot that just
registration?
took
You
place.
wanted them to put out the voter register
For those polling stations.
Sure.
Yes.
When you're registering people, you put out a voter register.
No, but I'm just saying as a holistic exercise. Why do I say so? If somebody comes in, because the machine is there to remove multiple registrants. Are you with me?
Not with this particular exercise.
No, it is. If you check.
Right.
They did that
right.
in the Eastern region.
Right.
They did that in the Volta region in whole. They did that as well. It was at the GPRTU polling station. They tested it. Remember, it's an exercise because cards were not being issued, and they were testing. For example, Bright, if that was your polling station, they'd ask you to register 3 or 4 times
and see how the system will work.
Yes,
right.
and it did that. Are you with me? Something that, as I asked the question, did they not do that in 2012? Or are we just trying to smoke and mirrors? Doing something we've done, we're pretending we're doing it again. But coming back on message, I was saying, Bright, that if the EC at those polling stations had put up the voters list, Article CI 72 of our Constitution makes it obligatory that 3 months before the election, which will be August of this year, you display the voters register. I'm saying as part of the pilot exercise, put the names of those registered so that those who are died at those polling stations, we can detect them. Because Christina Owusu-Parry, in an earlier interview this year, said that the EC have internal mechanisms for deleting names. And we want to know where are those internal mechanisms? A list would have showed us whether people who have died at those polling stations are on it or not.
Let's talk about validation as we run out of time. You're very passionate about that. You think that's the only way to clean up the system?
The way to clean up the system is a new voters register.
Not a validation
But
exercise.
The way to, you said is that the only way? I'm just responding to your question. The best way is a new voters register, whereby everybody...
In the absence of that.
In the absence of that, validation is the best thing. In Nigeria, Professor Jega, they use validation for that process. And what is validation? Of the 14 million people on our electoral register, they would open the polling stations for 6 weeks, as they did in Nigeria. Invite everybody to come and then register your card. What they would do, they'll take your fingerprint once again, check that it is really Bright, who is in front of them. They may ask any questions. And once you're cleared, they then validate your card. In Nigeria, they gave you a new card. In Ghana, they can choose to put a security feature. So it's that validated card that you would take to go and register, vote on November 7th.
And you think the EC is denying Ghanaians of this?
They were given this recommendation, Bright, in December. Their own panel member, led by VCRAC Crab. January has come and gone, and we have no validation. It's not even on the timetable. February has come and gone. No validation. It's not on the timetable. March, we are now in March. 2 weeks, in 2 weeks' time, inshallah, we'll be in April. Then 6 months later, we have the elections. But validation is not on the timetable that Charlotte Desai has put out. So Ghanaians are asking, are you serious about making sure this is a free, fair and credible election, Charlotte Desai? Are you serious? Instead of coming on TV stations or radio stations and saying there are 200,000 bloated registered in Ashanti region, only for you to retract it. And then you find out so many inconsistencies. You set up a steering committee full of NDC members. Now you have to dismantle that one. Last year,
it's not been dismantled. It's just, it's just
you know, semantics are there.
You know that, Abraham. You know it's not been dismantled.
Thank you. I take that on board. Last year, the CI did not mature.
Let's wrap up our
conversation. Yes. The important thing that we want is that the EC actually does what its own member panel, a 5-member panel led by VCRAC Crab, asked it or recommended it to do. Do the validation. In Nigeria, they removed 16 million names. As we're watching this, and I land here, Bright, I'm hoping people can quickly Google as we're sitting here. Google Osun State validation, OSUN. They removed 500,000 names from the register in Osun State. And remember, Nigeria has 34 states. What is your fear, Charlotte Desai, in doing what your own member panel have asked to? Validate it, so that we can have a free, fair and credible election, so that whoever wins November 7th will enjoy the full confidence of the people of Ghana. Validate it, Charlotte Desai. We are asking you. Ghana is demanding. Validate it. That's what your panel have asked you to do, recommended you to do. So do it.
I'm grateful for your time today. Ibrahim Ajay, a member of the MPP communications team, talking to me about the EC's program of activities ahead of 2016. Grateful you joined us in the studio.
Thank you so much.